Hello, this is a model I made in 2020, you know, that time whenever everybody was off work for a reason. It's totally scratch built, made from Fomex, which was one of my very first videos I made on this channel. I first saw the design of this ship in the Art of Solo Star Wars storybook. There's a small image in the corner of one of the pages, a sketch by Johnston. I think this is the first time this sketch ever appeared. But instead of me telling you about it, I'll hand over to Joe himself.
The reason the Falcon came about was because of Space 1999, as you know. So George said, we got to have a new ship for Han Solo, which was, it was originally called the pirate ship. We got to have a new pirate ship for Han Solo. And so, I said, well, what do you want it to look like? He said, I want it to look as much unlike that as possible. So, and Grant said, do me a favor, let me use the cockpit and the radar dish, because they'd already built those. So I went home that night and I did about 6 or 8 sketches of a spaceship, and they were all based on sort of a flying saucer, because I figured that's as far from what we had as you could get. And some of them had the cockpit out front, and some of them had the cockpit up where the gun ended up, but they were all sort of generally the same shape. And I showed George the next morning, and he said, I like that one. And it was the one where the cockpit was off on the side.
So I used the original sketch and drew it out myself so I could lay that over on top of the Fomex, using the scale of the Bandai PG Falcon, keeping it 1/72nd scale. I don't have actually any footage of this time, but this is the process I'm using now on a build I'm working at the minute. So it's a YT2000. So really get the Fomex, make it the thickness of the hull that you want it to be, cut out the wedges, which is going to create the dome. Then I cut triangles shaped to cover those sections up, and then once I had that all done, then I smoothed it all off, sanded it down, used a bit of filler. I boxed in the shape of the engine block and the cockpit walkway, starting to add a bit more detail to the front end. The cockpit at the minute, it's a bit big really. I don't know what I was thinking. You can also see the gun turrets, and I'm starting to fill in the details along the side walls, testing to see what it looked like with a radar dish. And then I decided to mould and cast the PG Falcon cockpit. This was just done sort of rotocasting, so it was hollow. This allowed me to carve out the windows without any breakages. So I was much happier with this. Looks more like it's from the same family as the Falcon. I also cast the docking rings. And as you can see now, that's the guns going on, and I made a scratch built stand for the radar dish, which is going to be held on with magnets. Then I used very, very thin Fomex. This is, I think it's 1mm Fomex, to make the armor plating, which is just there as a guide at the minute. The engines were moulded of my son's torch. I did a cast of the body of the torch and multiplied that over 10 times. And then it was a case of casting loads of greeblies just to fill up that area. Most are cast parts of the PG Falcon and the 172 Y-Wing. So now on to the underside, I'm trying to work out the arrangement of the landing gear. Going by Joe Johnston's sketch, it looks more like a classic UFO. The legs come out in a circular orientation, and again adding detail to the underside of the engines, starting to fill up the area with Death Star tile parts, and these are the actual landing grips from the AMT Falcon, just cast and multiplied several times. It was a really great experience building this. Doesn't seem to be a bother. Everything sort of fell into place. I 3D printed the nozzles. They're actually off the DFG Y-Wing model, which is on the RPF, so these are actually Y-Wing engine nozzles, just detailed with tank parts. So now the armour has been glued down, and it's time just to add wee greeblies here and there over the hull. I use the Perfect plastic putty, which is a water-based filler, which is really great for this sort of thing. You can actually brush it on and then wipe it off with a baby wipe. So it saves a lot of risk to damaging the model with filing and sanding. It's great for filling holes and filling gaps. As you can see, the white bits around those models there, that's just all filled. So it's starting to make more details on the walkways to the docking rings. So giving it a blast of white. After this I'll be spraying it with Archive X Reefer White, but this is just really to give it an even undercoat of white. And this is an image I made up for the RPF explaining where the boarding ramp and cargo lift etc. were. And now starting to add some colour. So all paints again is Archive X, rust and grime and dirt, earthy colours. I fitted a Panavice screw to the base of it so I was able to mount it onto a camera tripod, just take some beauty shots of it. So here's some images I took in front of my TV, so it's easier to Photoshop out the stand like this. So using the old black mirror for photographs. I like taking photographs with stark shadows, having a light source off to the side. It gives it more of a Star Wars feel. My son did this image. I liked it, sort of replicating the old 1970s box art. And then he added details in the inside of the cockpit. These are from a 172 Land Rover kit. And then after a long time, I eventually got round to painting the underside of the ship. So this is the most recent footage of it, when I actually shoot footage instead of just taking photographs. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully you'll be joining me whenever I'll be showing you through another scratch built model. It's the YT2000. I promise to shoot more video on this one. It'll not just be a load of photographs. So thank you again, and I'll see you soon.